And we're live. What's up, guys?
Hey,
Hey.
Welcome to Three Guys in Football.
here we are.
We've had a little time off. Shit happens. So here we are, and we're going to talk about some trade deadlines that happened.
We'll
So-
talk about this banner at the bottom, man. Who came up with that? Who approved that shit?
No, I'll put that up. And you know what? We'll start right in with that. With the Titans' defense sucks. For people that are listening to this, there's something scrolling at the bottom of our screen here on our podcast here, and it says Titans' defense sucks because it does. That was a terrible display they put up against Cincinnati. That was
Really?
ridiculous, dude. We cannot get teams off on third downs. We are the worst in the league. Over 60% or something like that with not getting off the field after a third down. We have no rushing on the quarterback whatsoever. Clowney's a waste of time. Now he's getting surgery for something with his meniscus. So he's going to be
He
out
has
for a
knee problems
while.
every year. His whole career,
Yeah.
he's had knee problems every year.
Yep. And Vic Beasley is now gone, which we're all happy about that from what I understand. And we picked up Desmond King, a former Pro Bowler from the Chargers for a 6th-round pick. And he will be starting Sunday against the Bears. So, and he excels in the nickel formation, which, he's a slot defensive back. And that's, he's I think he's already had like 6 sacks this season, which is probably pretty much more than all of probably more than all the Tennessee Titans have this year together.
Yeah, King's a good addition. I think they needed somebody who can play well in coverage, and I think that it's definitely going to increase their chances of getting the quarterback. Now with Clowney down, I don't know who's going to do it, but we'll see.
Dude, there's no reason. I don't take anything away from Joe Burrow. I really don't. He's a good quarterback. He's having a great year, but he literally has the worst offensive line in the NFL
By far.
And he tore the Titans up. Did he get over 400 yards passing?
Probably. That's not been a problem for him.
That's not been a problem, but it should have been. It should have been against us.
Yeah.
By us, I mean the Titans, obviously not me. I have nothing to do with it. Just a fan.
Let me see here. I was going to look and see how many yards he got.
And you know what? The Titans didn't really lose much by getting Desmond King anyways because they gave up, a 6th-round pick, one of 3 6th-round picks that they have next year.
I think it's a good move. It's a one-year rental. Move. Yeah, I mean, his contract's up after the season, so if he does, well, obviously to keep him, you're going to have to pay him something. But you get to try him free for about 9 games. You're not going to – I mean, a 6th-round pick is not going to be a starter most likely. And, I mean, to take a proven veteran and see how he's going to fit into your scheme, especially contribute this year in kind of this championship window that, somebody could say that they're in, it's a fantastic move. And they need it. Really
they do. Now, it's interesting that you bring up, we get to try them free for, the next 9 games. Now, before we let Vic Beasley go, this was our financial situation. Next year, our price tag, if the paycheck that the Titans pay all the players would be $169, and we are allotted $175 for next year.
Well, I don't think they have that number solid yet. It's going to be lower than that, I think.
And to continue on with, that's not re-signing anybody or anything. That's what they would have to pay next year
on the books
to the players. On the books is 169. Like I said, they're giving 175. But Beasley's gone now, and obviously they're going to make some moves and changes and whatnot. But that does not leave much room. Corey Davis is up for getting re-signed. We have a few players, and our offseason killed our defense.
Yeah.
Our offseason killed the Titans' defense bad.
It did. They tried to plug some guys in thinking they could make it work. I understand the logic in passing Jarrell Casey off for a sack full of socks. But, I mean, he was a big part of the pass rush last year. Jeffrey Simmons, I think they expected more out of him to be able to carry the load. But, I mean, he is one of these type of players. He's got to have single cover. He's got to be one-on-one blocking to be able to do his damage. He's not a guy who can take on double teams at this point in his career and make a lot of difference. So, I mean, who else are you going to – I mean, they don't have anybody else to focus on. Clowney has put the most pressure on the quarterback on the team this year, but he never gets there. Beasley, I don't even know if he actually made it off the bus any Sunday this particular year. And I couldn't really name anybody else that they have that's going to drive, any pressure on the quarterback. So, I mean, you can't really put it all on anybody. I think that they're just completely underwhelmed on the defensive line, where in years past they've had a lot of depth, and they don't have it this year. I think Jarrell Casey, I think they miss him a lot more than they would admit at this point. Last year, they didn't have this problem. He was tearing it up. Probably one of his best seasons I've seen of him was last season, and then they shipped him off to Denver. It's crazy.
But Rabel's an offensive guy, right?
He was a DC in Houston. I think he had another stop somewhere too. I can't remember.
But he's the defensive guy, though, right?
Right.
So, and who's our defensive coordinator there?
It was Dean Pease last year. I think Vrabel's, they're kind of being a little bit standoffish. I'm going to look it up real quick. I might have done this
What's
last
the
week too.
disconnect here? You know what I mean? There's
that's the difference right there. We lost our defensive coordinator in all season this year. He retired, if I'm not mistaken.
I feel like as a defense, if you can come together as a team more than as an offense. You know what I mean? Like, you can have a defense full of halfway good players and still do okay. Whereas an offense, I feel like you have to have a couple of outstanding ones to do okay. Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes a lot of sense.
So obviously there's a disconnect in the coaching staff and stuff as well, because I just can't believe that the players are, that bad. I mean, it happens, though. It happens. I mean, it doesn't, it does happen. There are that bad of teams out there, but it just sucks, man. I don't know. Burrow only threw for 249 on that game, so if that makes you feel any better.
Well, I mean, but he still was able to convert third downs like no other, and that's been our biggest issue all year, and it still is.
Yeah.
I
still don't understand our attack.
What attack? What attack? There's no attack.
Not defensively, but our offensive attack. Like, I don't understand it. Are we a running team? Are we a passing team? Are we just managing games? I don't get it still. I don't.
My opinion, from the way it looks, we're just managing games at this point. I believe Tannehill was only like 10 to 20 in the first half against Cincinnati. He actually had.
That's the thing. They've been getting out of the blocks so slowly. I mean, so slow. I don't know why the last probably 3 games they've gotten up to like morbidly slow starts. They get behind 2-3 scores before they really start going, and then they're kind of like dependent on the second half push. It didn't happen last week. I mean, against a Cincinnati team that they really should have beat, they didn't get that second half magic, and it killed them. So, where if they had any kind of a decent start whatsoever in the Pittsburgh game or in the Cincinnati game, they'd have won both of those and still been undefeated at this point because of how well they played in the second half. They played well enough in the second half, but they can't get out of their own way, turning the ball over, short drives. I mean, it's not looked good. And no, I agree with you, Miles. There's no real identity on offense. I think they just come up with a completely abstract game plan for every game individually. And I think the last 2 games, they've kind of showed some warts.
Another team that was kind of showing some shit was Tampa Bay. They almost did not pull it off against the Giants.
That was ugly.
It was very ugly. I mean, it was a great first half for them, but the second half they fell apart.
Dude, it shows you how week to week the NFL is, man. Because last time we talked, I was saying how the Buccaneers don't need any help with receiving, but after watching them that game, they need some help.
They didn't look great. Nobody really looked good. I mean, the Giants. If the Giants had been any other team, Tampa Bay would have lost that game. And while we're on it, Daniel Jones doesn't look like an NFL quarterback at all.
How is he still?
Oh my God, he made at least 3 throws in that game. That, I mean, coming out of his hand, not watching instant replay, but in the moment while the ball left his hand, I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? And I mean, the fact that he didn't have 6-7 turnovers in that game is a complete miracle, and he still had a bunch.
Oh yeah. I don't get him, man. There's something about, I don't study office, or front and out of house people that much, but I've heard nothing but bad things about that Gettleman that runs the Giants show up there.
Yeah.
So.
I think he came from, was it Carolina?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, he was there during the Josh Norman thing, and he rubs a lot of people the wrong way, but he's kind of got this Parcells attitude. His quarterback evaluation has always kind of left me to wonder. If you take Cam Newton out of things, Carolina, they had a lot of big misses there, and I mean, a lot of overpriced guys came through and just robbed the salary cap. Now the salary cap's not as big of a problem, but I mean, he's still. I mean, look at the Giants roster. I mean, you would think like in a down year they at least have young players and they're starting to build something. I can't see anywhere where they're building. They've got
No.
weaknesses everywhere, and there's no way that like 2 drafts could be enough to fix this.
And who hires Jason Garrett after his 10 years in Dallas for anything other than like special teams? Maybe I don't know. Like not even that. Like I like how can you? Is it just buddy network? Obviously, because like if I performed that poorly at my job for 10 years, I would have to know somebody to get another job in the same industry.
There's some
no
of that.
way, you know what I mean? There's nobody that would hire you based on that performance.
I always thought Garrett was a decent coordinator. I think he's a really bad head coach. There's a lot of those types around the NFL that are, once they get in the big guy chair, they can't manage things and things fall apart around them. And they're really dependent on a lot of things to go right to be successful. Garrett was one of those guys, but I think he's a decent coordinator. I don't think he's near the problem in New York. I think it starts with Daniel Jones, probably David Gettleman, and then the fact that, I could go on and on. They've got so many roster issues that them and the Jets, they're right now fighting for the top draft pick next year.
Yep. And the top draft pick for next year, it may actually stay in for his senior year because he doesn't want to go to the Jets.
I would. Oh my God. I'd
Yep.
white knuckle that shit. I would never come out of college for either one of those teams.
Pitiful.
Is he playing tonight? He's not playing, is he?
No, he's still out.
Right.
So,
So another team to talk about, we talked about Tampa Bay a little bit, is the fucking Pittsburgh Steelers. Unbeaten still.
how are they doing it? Ben looks
Their
terrible.
defense. It's their defense, dude. Their defense. I mean, you picked them up. You got them before I did, asshole. But but no. So Baltimore was kicking their ass in the first half, but they ended up losing the lead there, and Pittsburgh came back and got them.
That is defense 100% because, Ben just doesn't look like himself. I don't know who their backup quarterback would be.
I don't know. It's not important.
No, they didn't have any last year. I don't think they have any this year either.
Mm.
Let me ask you though. You guys watched that Ravens game? I'm guessing a little bit, right?
I did watch. I watched some of the first half, but then it's the Steelers. So
First half?
two teams I hate with everything I have.
Yeah.
So no.
I've always said the Ravens Steelers game. If there's a way for both of them to lose, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
But the first half in that game, Baltimore was running all over the Steelers. They put up a lot of rushing yards. I'm like, man, that's the formula. It's what you got to do. You got to pound them. And then every once in a while, they try to just put the game back on Lamar Jackson and have him throw the ball, and he threw it away. I mean, he had a couple of really bad picks in that game. I still think that Baltimore should have won that game. And I think they exposed something with Pittsburgh that maybe other teams should try. Pittsburgh's got a great pass rush, a decent secondary, and they expose a lot of teams in the air. But if you keep the ball out of the air, I think that they're very beatable. And you also kind of play that ground and pound sort of like control the clock game.
Yep.
And Baltimore just stopped doing it. And that's how they lost that game. I really think they should have pulled that out. That was kind of crazy to watch them lose it.
Do you think it's time to start worrying about Lamar Jackson?
A little bit. I don't know. I'll
Really?
defer to you guys on that.
As a quarterback,
Yes.
like as a full-time quarterback, I guess.
As his position is right now, do you think he's capable of leading the Baltimore Ravens back to the playoffs for the third year in a row? And if he does, what the fuck's really going to happen?
That's really the question. I think he'll get there.
I think they'll get there. Yeah, I agree.
Do you think they won't get there unless it's a wild card?
Really? Is that what that conference is shaping up to be?
I mean, Pittsburgh's unbeaten. Baltimore's lost 2.
I think it'll be a close race coming down the stretch. I wouldn't just concede the division to Pittsburgh
I'm
just
not
yet.
conceding it to them, but Baltimore has looked like shit lately.
Baltimore they're a streaky team. They were streaky last year. They got on a hot streak last year.
Yeah.
And then when they fell apart in that playoff game, everybody on the team fell apart. And I mean, I don't think Lamar Jackson's concerned about his legacy or his personality or whatever, how he's perceived around the league. He doesn't strike me as that type of person. But
No.
I don't think he's a big game player. I think they played a lot of teams last year that were ripe for the picking. That's one of the reasons why he was the MVP. He was able to run up a lot of yards and look really good. And they got to the playoffs, and the Titans overmatched him. I didn't see it coming either. But, I mean, they made him look really bad. And when he's played really good teams this year, he hasn't looked that great. I don't think he's a big game player yet. He's kind of got that Tony Romo vibe so far, to where he plays great against teams they should beat. And when he gets in there with somebody his own size, doesn't work out quite as well. So I don't know. Remains to be seen.
Lack of consistency is going to hurt them for sure. I mean, he has these flash in the pan, moments, but lots of them, but it's not enough.
Do you think the problem is that they really don't have any decent receivers up there?
Or a running back?
No, they're down to their second and third string on the running back situation too. And now they just brought up Des Bryant from the practice squad. After 11 days of being there, they have now signed him to the team. So he's actually going to be playing.
Probably not.
I want to see that.
Yeah, dude, he hasn't played in over a year. He's got an Achilles heel or an Achilles tendon freaking injury. So I'm interested to see if he can. Yeah, like you said, Mark.
I don't know. I think they have guys who can make plays. I mean, maybe they don't have that number one receiver. But, I mean, Hollywood Brown, I don't know if you guys saw, he came out in the headlines this week complaining about not getting the ball. Was pretty upfront about, he's pissed that he's not getting anything.
Yeah, he doesn't. That's why I dropped him in fantasy.
Yeah. I think it's design of their offense. But, I mean, part of it is that when these guys get balls thrown at them, they don't really make plays on it. I've seen a lot of drops from them. So any help is welcome. I don't know if they're going to get enough of it this year.
Yeah, drops have been a problem for sure.
Yeah.
It's not all on Lamar Jackson, I guess is what I think.
No, it's not. But, I mean, it's kind of, yeah, it's too early to compare him to other people. But I'm just thinking, last year they didn't really have his number, and they got his number this year. I mean, even the games that they've won, they haven't won in spectacular fashion like they did last year with them.
I feel like if you're a defense going up against them, you don't have to stop the run, really. You don't have to stop the pass, really. You just have to stop Lamar Jackson. So I guess you do have to stop the run in a sense, but not the traditional run.
No, I mean, if you keep two guys spying on Lamar, you've got it made.
Right.
If you can afford
single
that.
Cover everybody else. I mean, they're not going to catch it.
Mm-mm. Obviously not. And how long is Ingram going to be out? And even when he comes back, is he really going to make that much of a difference anymore? I mean, he's done. He's had his ass beat for the last, 10 years, 8 years, something like that.
Yeah,
he's been good, but he's at that point.
Yeah, dude. I mean, he's taking a beating, and he's giving a beating. Don't get me wrong, but damn. So,
what did you guys think about Tua's debut?
What was it, 120 something yards he got?
Hey man, he got the W.
He did. I'll give you that. Yeah, he got.
Yeah, they didn't put him on his shoulders. I think it was smart the way they put him in there. I mean, they put a safety in him.
What do you think about the notion of them shopping him around?
Why?
They put him in early instead of letting him play under Fitzpatrick because they want to see if any teams want him after next year. That's which, I mean, that may be the case. It's only logical. I mean, if they get offered, it's a business. If they get offered something that they want for him, then they'll take it. I mean, but
no, dude, he didn't even throw for 100 yards, man.
Well, they leaked this stuff out to try to fan some trade flames because they're looking at it like this. They've got their first round pick plus Houston's next year. Houston is like straight to the cellar, so their first round pick is going to be probably top 5. And they're looking at potentially trading up to get Trevor Lawrence if they don't feel like Tua is the guy. So I think they put that out there just to kind of see if they could get anything for him, if anybody would bite on it. I mean, why would you, though? If somebody drafts a quarterback in the first round this year and they're already trying to trade him after 7 or 8 games, why would you want him?
I wouldn't. Remember, I guess, was it 2 years when Darnold came out and there was like 5 quarterbacks in the top, 30 or whatever. And which one panned out? I don't even remember.
But I think they all did okay except for what was it?
The only one that's panned out worth any kind of shit is Buffalo's Josh Allen. He was in that class with Sam Darnold and another kid from that
Oh, that was
went.
Baker. Baker was the number one that year, right?
And then
Baker Mayfield?
Arizona, this other kid that went to Arizona, and now
Yeah,
and then he went to
Rosen.
Miami. Now he's gone. I forget his name, but there was a
I think
bunch of them. And like, yeah, they really haven't amounted to much except for Josh Allen of all people came from Wyoming and Baker Mayfield, obviously.
Man,
And
you know, I'm not like one of these
Western
Mel Kiper types, but if you look back on old drafts, seeing the drafts have like 5-6 quarterbacks in the first round, I mean, almost none of them work out. It's the drafts only have one or two, and those quarterbacks are decent. Like when they take the top 2 picks, they work out okay. The drafts were like 5 or 6 quarterbacks going in the first round. You have so many busts come out of that. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So why did you get rid of Josh Allen, Moss?
Because I wanted to shake my whole team up, man. I did a middle of the season regroup. I got rid of almost everybody I had.
Yeah.
Josh Steinbrenner.
The one thing, yeah, I pulled a Steinbrenner. The one thing about Josh Allen is his formula isn't. I mean, when you've got Patrick Mahomes, man, what the fuck's the point in holding on to a Josh Allen? You know, unless Patrick gets hurt, I'm never going to use Josh Allen. And
right.
I needed to, you know, I had to make some moves. But anyhow, Josh Allen is showing that he lacks consistency. That's one thing. I mean, the way he gets points in fantasy is by running the ball. And that's not always the game plan with them.
Right. I picked him up because I only had Matt Ryan and Herbert. So I picked him up.
Go for it. He's not a bad player. I mean,
right.
I Tua because I don't know. I think they might let him loose. We'll see. He can pass the ball. There's no doubt about that. The guy is accurate with passing the ball. So, I mean, we'll see. I like to get those picks like that and just see what happens. A lot of times I get screwed, but it's fun nonetheless.
Getting the guys on the way up, not on the way down.
Yes.
I think Tua is going to be safe. I think they're going to put a good game plan around him, so he'll be consistent. You may not get, you know, those big Josh Allen, like 40, 50-point weekends, but you'll get, you know, like you'll have a dependable number, which I think is pretty good at that position, you know, to kind of know what it's going to be every week.
Yep. And they have a defense to back him up, man. They have a defense.
Top 5 defense.
So, and they have a running game too, don't they?
That's another reason. I can't think of who their running back is. So,
well, I mean, it doesn't matter. But they're gaining. Yeah, I was going to say, but they're getting. You know, they have a running game. You know, but yeah. So I'm not familiar with Tua at all. I didn't see him at all in Alabama or anything. So I don't really know what all he can do.
He can throw the shit out of a ball, man, and then put it where it needs to go, for sure.
Yeah. He's going to take a little time to really develop. I mean, because he wants to sling it down the field. And he's the kind of quarterback that needs to have time. Like, he's not going to be able to just do these Tom Brady, like, okay, the defense is blowing straight through the line. I got to get it out in half a second. You know, I know exactly where the guy's going to be before he gets there. He's going to have like 2 seconds in the pocket to really perform.
But I have belief that he might pick that up along the way, though.
Yeah, and if he stays around long enough, he definitely will. I mean, after first 2 or 3 years in the system, he could pick it up. I think he's got who's the offensive coordinator? I think it's Chan Gailey. And he's great. Yeah, he's great. He actually, Ryan Fitzpatrick's best years, he was up there with him in Buffalo, and he's been around the block with a couple other teams. And the guy's like 75, 80 years old at this point. But it's like kind of a good thing to have a brand new quarterback with somebody like that instead of one of these up and comer dudes or like a Jason Garrett type. Like, it definitely is going to make a difference.
Do you think so you're talking about, Miami possibly trying to get, trade him or getting some value or something out of him. Mm-hmm. What about him going to Dallas?
Tua?
Yeah.
So you're saying they're not going to re-sign Dak next year?
No.
Really?
No.
Yeah. I mean, you're like 100% on that, huh?
Oh yeah. Hell yeah.
I think you might be right about that, man, because
they're not signing him.
They would have done it already if they really loved the guy, right?
No, they're going to see what he can do, and then but no, they're not. If they're all right, they're going to offer him a contract, but it's going to be a slap in the face. I mean, dude, do you think he's really going to come back from this?
Possibly. Dude, I don't know which way to go with it. Honestly, this is a very unique situation where a guy is. I mean, it's not just a major injury; he had like compound fracture. This is it's between like your standard ACL and Alex Smith. And it could take him through the end of next season, but I still think that they'd try to retain him to some degree. I don't think anybody else is going to sign Dak next year, and he did enough the first of this year that there's going to be pressure on them to keep him.
Yeah.
Wow. But why? Why?
He finally blossomed into a legitimately good, what I would call franchise quarterback, a guy that can put the team on his back and that can still win some games. And that's
But he
without a
didn't.
decent team around him this year.
But he didn't. He won one game this year.
I
One.
know. That's what I'm
That
saying. They
wasn't his
didn't have
fault.
any. I mean, they were
All
falling
his
apart.
stats come in the fourth quarter during jump shit, dude. That game where he had like 500 yards or whatever the fuck.
Which
That
one?
was yeah, right. But that shit all happened in like the fourth quarter.
I don't know. I mean,
I agree with both of you guys. Like, I'm not a big fan of Dak, but I see like he's done enough to me to prove that he deserves a chance at being a franchise quarterback. I think because look at some of the other examples out there. I mean, that's where you got to look at it. Like, would you know, there's plenty of other quarterbacks that are worse than he is. I think.
yeah.
Like,
No, I agree. I mean, it's a scary proposition to
Who?
start over. I guess my point is more, how do you not sign him? Because, I mean, it just, if you go a different direction and miss when you had him on your roster and you could have locked him up, you could have franchised him again. That's some sour grapes a couple years from now. I mean, although the Jones are going to do what they're going to do, that's still for them even harder.
Would you franchise him knowing that he couldn't play next year?
They've done dumber, honestly. If you're talking about Dallas, they've done dumber.
Well, I guess a couple of teams will be San Francisco, then the Giants. That's another one that have worse quarterbacks than Dak Prescott's. The Jets.
You can't count San Francisco because I mean their starting quarterback, he's gone, and he probably won't even be back in San Francisco at this point.
I'm talking about any quarterback at San Francisco is worse than Dak Prescott.
Who is it?
Nick Mullins, Garoppolo, any of them, they suck.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they all suck. You're right.
Traveling shit show.
Yep. And dude, the COVID has totally decimated them. They had to close their facility this past week and everything.
I tell you what Dak reminds me of. He reminds me of a car. You see,
One of the Carr brothers.
One of the car, yeah. Just I mean, nothing crazy special, but they're not terrible either. But you know, it's not an exciting
Mike,
game.
thanks for specifying brothers on that because I was like, "What the fuck you mean?" He's like a car.
I picked up the silence. I was like, oh, "Okay." I was thinking which car, but not like the person. Like, yeah, no, I got it. But
I was like, what, like a Buick? I mean, what are we going with here?
I can't think of the one who's playing now, but David's brother. What's his name? What's it called? Derek.
Yeah, I mean, Derek's a totally likable guy, but he's always, his potential's sort of been here, and his level of play's been like around here. I mean, he's good enough to win, but not really get you anywhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Dak's always been like that, but and not to just completely stereotype quarterbacks, right? But I think Dak could fit this mold of like a Tom Brady, Steve Young type that just kind of was a certain level for the first 5-6 years of their career. Then all of a sudden, boom, they take off, right? They've been good at managing the game, and then they finally take that next step. And it felt like he was starting to take that next step this year when I saw them. I know that the team is terrible, but I feel like one more year, the same system, he probably could if he could sustain that level of success, I could really buy into him as like a top 5 quarterback. Whereas before this year, I'd say, man, he's in the 10 to 15 range at best.
I'm not a hater, but I don't know if I'm that much of a believer either.
I mean, I'm not impressed. He's not a winner.
Well, before this year they were. I mean, they've been pretty good the last couple of years.
No,
they flip-flopped last year. The year before they were pretty good.
Where's Zeke Elliott? I don't hear his name ever anymore.
He's hurt too.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, he's hurt right now, I believe. I think he's done there too. At least his I mean, dude, they're having a lot of problems in the locker room. And like we were talking about last week, you know, Mike McCarthy come in to assist him. You know, like you said, I guess he's held on to all the old coaches and everything. So it's still really not his system, is it? Or am I wrong?
It's always going to be Jerry Jones's system.
See,
but yeah, I was wrong about that. I don't know how many people he kept or brought with him, but I heard I was watching ESPN the other day, and the special teams coach he brought with him. So it wasn't like he was the only one. He had to have brought some people with.
Well,
I just make claims and assumptions.
It's okay.
Same.
Yeah, that's what we all do.
The American way.
Yep, that's right. That's right. It is a very close game. It's 8 minutes ago. It's 26 all, 4th and inches. Clemson's trying to get the first down. Yeah.
Yeah.
So San Francisco got their ass beat the other night, didn't they?
Yeah.
Against Packers.
Yeah, the Packers are for real, man. The Packers, I don't know. Freaking Rodgers looks like on another level right now. He's just playing some of the best ball of his life. I mean, he just, I don't. And then they've got a running attack. Sometimes I don't feel like that. I don't know. I don't feel like they'll utilize it like they could. Like Aaron Jones came out of the gate hot the other night, but then that was it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, dude, he wasn't even really supposed to be back. The only reason he was back was because of COVID. And Williams was out. You know, they said that he would have sat out that game because, Green Bay didn't really need him.
Yeah.
They were going to let him sit out again, try to get healed up, but they lost 2 of their running backs due to COVID. So, I mean, he didn't really have much choice. Yeah. And San Francisco, like I said, they got riddled. They had their facility shut down before the game even started. So
I was surprised they played the game. And then I'm thinking, if I'm the 49ers, I would have loved for them to delay that game, and push it off to another week or whatever the case, maybe Monday or Tuesday, try to get some players healthy. But
the problem is so many teams have, already had their bye weeks. I think they were talking about they're not going to be able to reschedule any more games this year. Unless
they're right on the line. If they schedule
they can
more,
delay the time of the day. They can delay the time of the game, but they can't push it off like more than, 1 day, I believe, or something like that.
Right.
So
I think they have to play it by Tuesday. It's like if it's a Thursday game, they'll have it till at least that next Tuesday before it goes into the next week. So they have to try to fit it into that window, ideally. But no, it was like one of these old school heavyweight fights where there's the guy who's like in his 5th title defense versus someone who doesn't belong in the ring. And the 49ers didn't belong in the ring. But I feel bad. I mean, you go on Twitter or just Google like the starters on the 49ers 2020 team that's injured. And I mean, it reads like a Pro Bowl roster. And these are guys that aren't coming back this year. It's insane the amount of. But I will say this: they are 4-4 after that ass kicking the other night, and it's only because of their head coach. He's probably the best coach in the league, I'd say at this point. Anybody else, they'd be winless. I mean, they've struggled with so much shit this year. So kudos to Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, he's done a hell of a job with what he's got.
Do you think this Garoppolo's last year? Do you think he'll come back?
I don't know.
Because his contract's over, isn't it?
I don't know.
Wow, is it really?
I think it is. I believe it is. I believe he's up for getting re-signed or something like that. Like maybe this is the year where they can take an option or whatever.
I actually want to look that up, but no, I think based on just his level of play when he is healthy and the fact that he's not healthy very often, I think they're going to look elsewhere. So even if he stays on the roster, they're going to get somebody kind of like they'll bring in someone to back him up who's a starter worthy. Maybe. I mean, I can't say no to that.
Mm-mm.
Do you think that Tua's not going to last in Miami now or something? Do you think he's going to take it personal and people are going to try to get him? Is there some shit going on behind the scenes that we don't know about?
It's business. Every football player is on display, if I owned a football team, every motherfucking one of them is on display.
Yeah, but dude, if he's supposed to be your franchise quarterback, though, why are you going to try to see what you can get out of him? You're not depending on Ryan Fitzpatrick to be your franchise quarterback for the next few years. Come on.
No, but they are probably, like I think Mike said earlier, they're probably eyeing Trevor Lawrence.
Trevor Lawrence ain't coming out.
Well, he's within reach. If he comes out and they have a top 5 pick plus their own, they could trade up easily and get whoever is the top quarterback next year. So,
yeah, not necessarily
from that perspective, it's possible that they would want to trade him, but I don't really think that that's going to happen.
I don't think that's going to happen. And another thing, if Trevor Lawrence were to come out this year, which I don't think he will, if it's the Jets, because he doesn't want to go to the Jets, and who can blame him? But Miami, I just don't understand the whole. Tua's supposed to be their franchise. They moved up to get him last year, didn't they?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't they move up in the draft to get him?
I don't know.
Yes, they did.
Okay.
Yeah, if that's
they'd already made a 1st round pick, and then they had another one coming up, and they traded up from that one just a few spots to get him. So yeah, they traded like something small to get up.
Was he pick number 8? Was he something like that? He was a top 10, wasn't he?
Mm-mm.
I don't think so.
I think he was mid first.
Oh, then.
Now I will say this though, just to back up a step. So Jimmy Garoppolo is actually signed through 21 and 22 at base salaries of $24 million a year.
Oh no.
Yeah,
He's not going to get that.
His cap hit next year is $27 million, and
No, he's going.
I think so. I think that they would try to find a way to get out from under that because usually it doesn't say on this website I'm looking on, but usually like the last 2 years don't have a lot of guaranteed salary in it, so they can just cut him loose for face value or less. I think they'd probably pick up a lot of money to get rid of him, especially if they get a high draft pick. He's gone.
Yeah. Huh. Well,
They trade for Brady.
yes.
It'd be like 95.
Still be all right. He's got his personal trainer. He's good.
Insure on the sideline.
What do you have?
Titans go up against Chicago this weekend. That's tomorrow. At Nashville. I'm interested to see how they're going to handle it, dude. They've lost 2 in a row. They've had shitty luck with their defense or their lack thereof. And as we said earlier in the show, Clowney is going to probably be getting surgery on his knee. We have Desmond King. He'll be playing. But do y'all think our defense is going to step it up or what?
No, I don't think
All
so.
right.
I think they could lose this game.
Do you really?
They're on the downslide now, I think. I mean, I feel that way. I don't know. I've lost faith.
And last week, that's because of last week, and rightfully so. We all lost faith because of that game last week. There was no excuse. And, dude, Derrick Henry had a decent game.
He was over 100 yards. Yeah.
So, I mean, like we were saying, they're slow to start. They're very slow to start. And they can't, if they're playing somebody that has a high-powered, fast offense like Cincinnati is kind of starting to become anyways, in my opinion, because, they don't have a running game really. But, man, they can pass the ball. And, dude, like I said, Joe Burrow's he's getting the yards. He's making it happen.
How much longer is this Tannehill crutch, for lack of a better word, going to last? Like, is he a big game player? I mean, was he responsible in a large part for having such a good season last year, or was he just kind of a bystander?
Yes. No.
So?
I absolutely believe so.
And I think he's a major part in why they won as many games as they have this year. I mean, they were probably anybody else quarterbacking them for about a 3-game stretch to start the season. They would have lost all 3 of those games, and they barely squeaked it up.
He's not flashy, that's for sure. He doesn't really do much either on the stat sheet or while you're watching him. But I mean, I guess does something well. Manages the game.
He's a very efficient quarterback.
He's very efficient, and his turnovers are low.
Yeah, he doesn't make bad decisions when it comes to throwing the ball to him. I don't feel like.
Yeah,
he's a very accurate quarterback, which I forgot about in his days in Miami because he was just getting lit up. But man, when he throws it, he hits the guy. It's not like quarterbacks in the past we've had Locker and Jake or Vince Young and those guys that would sail it like 5 yards left of the guy. But no, I mean he's been good. I think the key with the Bears don't have a good offense. They really don't have offense at all. It's either Nick Foles or Trubisky, and both of them will look really bad. And if they get up on them early, if they get up on Chicago early, I think Titans can win it. But I mean, that's a big if you look at this last month for the games.
I don't understand the slow starts. I don't get that. And
I think the only excuse for it is because our main threat is Derrick Henry, and the defense in the second half doesn't have the legs that they do in the first half, and that he gets to, and they weaken. And
he does wear them down. He does absolutely wear them down. And then in the second half is when they double dose them.
Exactly.
So, I would like them to win. obviously.
Would be nice.
Yep. Jacksonville goes up against Houston. That's going to be a shit game to watch.
Yes.
What's up
Both
with
teams are
Minshew?
1-6.
Why is he
He's
not
out.
playing?
His finger. You know,
Oh,
his
I thought
finger.
they just benched him.
Mm-mm.
I mean, might as well. Might as well. Yep. I don't even want to talk about that, Mike. I don't know why you want to bring up negative shit.
I just was asking a question. I wasn't trying to bury. I'm sorry, man. I know it's a sore
Yes.
subject.
You know, it kind of is, man. You know, this is not the week for this kind of shit. I'm just, you know.
You're gonna cry on me?
Yeah. It's a very emotional week, man. Very emotional week.
We've turned
But,
into View. We've got tears on here.
Yeah, no. No, I mean, I still like Minshew. I don't have that much of an issue. You know, I don't get to see them play here.
Mm-mm.
You know, and why should I? Because they are, you know, they won that first game, and then they managed to lose several other games after that, and then just got their ass beat in other ones.
Well, you need to be rooting for them to lose. They need to suck, and they need to get some good players next year. They're going to clean house. You're not going to have Marone. All this Coughlin business will be finally out the door. Everybody left from that regime, and you get to start over. I mean, I know it sucks to have to do that every couple of years, but I mean, they really have a decent nucleus left of really, really young players.
Yeah.
But if they had somebody come in there and really work it into shape, you may have something.
I mean, honestly, we could have something right now if we had a defense. Our defense was completely decimated after last
Everybody
year.
left.
Everybody's gone, dude. And they like traded away their two other players this year in mid-season. It's just like they had no one left, man. You know, but you know, the receivers are showing some promise, and like I said, I like Minshew. I have no issue with them. But you know, even the running back, that rookie Robinson, he's having a good year, dude.
I like him a lot. He's good.
Yeah. So you know, with Leonard Fournette out the door too, it didn't really affect him.
Well, I just want to point out that I'm still undefeated and plan to stay that way through this weekend. And you know, the road to the playoffs runs through me. You guys bring it on.
That's
Oh,
great.
don't worry, I'm going to take you out next time I play you because all my players are coming off of IR. McCaffrey is starting this week. Everybody's saying to start him, so fuck it, I'm starting him. Old Devontae Adams, he's becoming
He might be the best
very
receiver
consistent.
in the league.
Yeah, dude, he's doing right. And Kelsey, he's having a good year as well. So I'm pretty excited about what I got going on. And you know, I'm not happy with my running back situation. I'm not sold on that.
I will say this one last fantasy football point is that I picked up Antonio Brown 10 minutes after they said that he was getting signed. I picked him up in 2 different leagues, including this one. And then a couple days ago, Chris, I guess, offered me a trade. He offered me several different trades. I finally ended up taking one for Will Fuller.
Yeah.
So I got another proven wide receiver for I don't know if this is going to work out or not. I'm pretty happy about the fact that I was able to steal that and kind of get Will Fuller. I don't know how you guys are going to knock me off, but it's just going to take one bad game. Last year I was in a league and I was undefeated into the playoffs, and I lost the first round really badly, so you never know.
Yeah, I even messaged my sister. I was like, what in the hell is Christopher doing? She's like, what are you talking about? I was like, he's making a dumbass move. Why would he make that move?
He was trying to get me Adam
Humphries.
Humphries. I'm like, step it up, man. Step it up. You gave me Will Fuller. Will Fuller is having a Pro Bowl year.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's who they tried to trade. They tried to trade him to was it Green Bay that was trying to get him, Mike? Do you remember?
Yeah. That would have been awesome, too.
Yeah, Green Bay was trying to get Will Fuller. So, I mean, there's obviously some tension in the locker room, so I don't know if he's going to be – I got to fold him from Philadelphia. He's doing pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
But, dude, I can't depend on Lockett, man. I can't
That's
depend
weird.
on Lockett.
I can't figure that out.
I can't either. But everybody said, you know, anywhere you look, everybody's starting him. But he's not getting the points. Dude, he's had one good game, and that was the game I fucking benched him.
Dude, he's a wide receiver on a team with a great quarterback and an awful defense, so they're always going to be throwing the ball. And I don't understand why he doesn't get 15, 20 points a week. It's weird.
I don't either, dude. Last week he got me 7 points. 7.
Not good.
But old Adams, he's already got me 48.
Yep. I know.
Didn't you beat me the first game?
Yeah, I did.
All right, so shut the fuck up.
I've made some poor decisions as a manager this year. I just got a little impatient with some things, and I'm going to
there's
leave
still
that.
a whole another half of the season, man.
Yeah,
Yep.
It's bad.
I picked up Washington's defense. They actually have a very high rate. They're going up against the Giants.
Not a bad idea.
Thought it was a
No.
good idea to.
The
you know,
best
basically,
plan.
Whoever's
plan every
going
week is
against
get
the
a new
Giants or
defense.
the Jets is the defense you should be picking up.
Yep.
Exactly. That's the strategy, man. I don't ever ride with the defense all year. I always pick up
No.
week by week based on who's playing the worst offense.
Matchups. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. What the hell? Well, man, guys, I guess that's it. I don't really have anything else to talk about.
All right.
So
That's good
I will
times.
Yep. I will get this shit posted tomorrow or put up on Anchor tomorrow. And that's that. Y'all
All right.
will shoot for it again next week. Y'all take it easy.
Have a good weekend.
See ya.
All right.